continue to remain on air in coverage with this. Let's get a look at our velocity scan. This can tell rotation inside of a thunderstorm, and the red indicates winds that are heading away from radar sites. So this radar site is from the Miami office in parts of Miami-Dade County. And the red indicates wind heading away from a radar site. The green indicates winds that heading towards a radar site. So the closer that gets together, it can indicate rotation inside of a thunderstorm, which is why the National Weather Service, has put out a tornado warning on the system, as it has been producing rotation and potentially a isolated tornado threat. Of course, we've been tracking very heavy rainfall within this system throughout this morning. So if anything is producing rotation, you likely wouldn't see anything if you're looking out a window or if you're outside, because of the fact that we have heavy rainfall in area. So anything out there would be rain wrapped. So the National Weather Service in the Melbourne office is the ones that issued this tornado warning. There's been some increased rotation near the Hobe Sound area, which is why the warning's been issued for eastern Martin County, and it's showing up in the low-level radar site of the Palm Beach International Radar Site. So we will continue to remain on air with this, as it is in a populated area. This again, it includes the coastal Martin County area, Hobe Sound, Tequesta, as well as Port Salerno until 11 o'clock this morning. Again, we've been tracking this heavy rainfall threat throughout the day today as deep tropical moisture surges across portions of South Florida. And you could see the radar site here producing very heavy rainfall, not only for the coastal Treasure Coast in Martin County, but also portion of inland Palm Beach County. So again, this tornado warning, though, issued for coastal Martin County until 11 o'clock this morning, as we've been tracking the potential for rotation within this isolated supercell. So as it is heading towards the coastline, we'll likely keep a close eye to see if any sort of rotation heads towards our coastal beaches in coastal Martin County, or even heading offshore. Our direction of storm activity today has been going from the southwest to the northeast. So with the track of this isolated supercell, it's likely heading towards the coast of Martin. It is heading towards the coast of Martin County, right over Hobe Sound and US 1. We'll get a look at some street level view right here to see individual neighborhoods that are included within this tornado warning and where the likely rotation is ongoing at this time. So we're seeing some bright colors right there indicating rotation on radar currently in coastal Martin County, right over Hobe Sound and US 1. We can get some individual street names right there. A1A, Southeast Bridge Road. This is heading towards the Intracoastal 2, and then eventually towards South Beach Road. Southeast Cypress Drive, you are on the south side of this potential rotation, and we're getting some blocking there indicated by purple colors, but just with that last scan earlier, I was seeing some very bright colors indicating signs of rotation here in coastal Martin County. So that kind of bright color, very close together, highlights the potential rotation in this area, which is why the National Weather Service office in Melbourne has been highlighting this. So if you're in this tornado warning, again, it includes Hobe Sound, Jupiter Island, parts of Tequesta, anywhere coastal Martin County, you're included in this tornado warning. So you're going to want to stay inside, away from doors and windows until this tornado warning expires. This can loft any sort of debris outside too, which is why we tell you to stay inside, away from doors and windows, because if debris does get lofted, it can potentially impact windows and doors. So this tornado warning, again, extends until 11 o'clock. So we have about 20 minutes left with this tornado warning. We'll continue to see if the National Weather Service office in Melbourne keeps a watch on this, but very bright colors indicating rotation just to the west right now of US 1 north of Hobe Sound. I'll get a circle on this to show you where that potential rotation is, just to the west of US 1 north of the downtown Hobe Sound area. So if you are in this area west of A1A, you're going to want to stay inside, away from doors and windows, until this storm moves off the coast. It is heading towards the west. So let's get a track on this too to tell you where the storm is heading. If I can get a speed on this as well, I'll get a closer view on that. But this tornado warning, again, extends until 11 o'clock for Hobe Sound, Jupiter Island, and Port Salerno. If you hear those cities called, and you live in these cities, you'll want to stay inside until this tornado warning passes. So the storm is moving to the northeast at 15 miles per hour. Let's get a track on this to see where it's heading next. We could see, as it's heading north of the Hobe Sound area, we could see potential rotation towards South Beach Road right along the intercoastal there on Jupiter Island, which is why it's included in that tornado warning. So it is heading towards the intercoastal with our latest radar scan, but it is moving right over Hobe Sound and Southeast Bridge Road. So if you do live in this area, you'll want to stay inside until the tornado warning passes. And again, we are coming on air right now, breaking into coverage currently for this tornado warning, as it is in a populated area in coastal Martin County. We'll continue to stay on air until this warning expires, and it expires well inland over Alligator Alley. Some signs have been hinted within this training band of thunderstorms in inland Broward County, away from the Fort Lauderdale areas, right along Alligator Alley. But again, there's been history of showing signs of rotation within these showers and thunderstorms, which is why the National Weather Service office highlighted the Hobe Sound area for that potential rotation there as it's moving towards the coast currently. So right along A1A, US 1, heading towards the Jupiter Island area, just off the coast of Martin County, heading over the intercoastal. And we're continuing to watch the system as it moves to the west. So we can get a live look right here at this tornado warning that has been issued for Hobe Sound, Jupiter Island, and Port Salerno. A reminder, if you are under this tornado warning, you'll want to stay inside, because even outside of that rotation, we have gusty winds across eastern Martin County. This does include the Gomez area, Port Salerno, as well as Jupiter Island, as this isolated supercell is heading off the coastline. So let's get a look right now at radar. Bigger picture, we've been dealing with extreme rainfall rates across parts of Martin County and parts of the Treasure Coast too. Very heavy rainfall rates currently right over US 1, where this tornado warning has been issued. We've had rainfall rates of about radar estimates of rainfall rates of about an inch an hour. So very heavy rainfall rates over US 1. This is not the time to be out on the roadways, and it is the time to stay home for the next 30 minutes until this tornado warning expires. So again, we will continue to remain on air. This tornado warning extends until 11 o'clock, so we have about 17 minutes in this tornado warning that was issued by the National Weather Service office in Melbourne, Florida, as we've been watching signs of rotation within isolated storms along this individual band of rainfall across portion of our local viewing area. You can see the bigger picture. Very heavy rainfall from Martin County to inland Palm Beach County, all the way to Lake Okeechobee. Storm motion has been moving from the southwest to the northeast. So with that motion, this tornado warning, and if any rotation is occurring and has made it to the ground, will likely be moving offshore here in the next couple of minutes. So that is a good sign. However, we've been seeing some isolated rotation within this band of thunderstorms as it moves through parts of Palm Beach County and Martin County. We'll get a closer view on that rotation again. If you're just joining us on the air right now, we have a tornado warning that has just been extended until 11 o'clock this morning for coastal Martin County. And this does include Hobe Sound, Jupiter Island, as well as the Tequesta area and parts of Port Salerno. So you can see right there, this is I-95 in Martin County. Very heavy rainfall. You can see traffic has slowed to a crawl just because of the very intense rainfall rates that are occurring. And we're likely experiencing very strong wind gusts within this isolated rotation. We've had wind gusts this morning within thunderstorms as high as 39 miles per hour, and that was recorded in the Vero Beach area. So this tornado warning does extend until 11 o'clock, and we are starting to see that sign of rotation moving offshore currently. So we've seen it move just to the north of downtown Hobe Sound, over the intracoastal and is now heading offshore. So this is a good sign, but we still have very strong wind gusts within this isolated tornado warning issued for coastal Martin County. So you can see the rotation here, the very bright colors as it continues to move offshore. I'll highlight this. The red indicates winds that are heading away from a radar site, and the green indicates winds that's heading towards a radar site. So the closer those two come together, that shows signs of rotation, especially in some of these lower cloud levels within these thunderstorms that could produce rotation and even a possible tornado, which is why we've had this tornado warning issued for coastal Martin County. So this is starting to head offshore within South Beach Road, within the Hobe Sound area along the intracoastal there, just to the north of Jupiter Island. And this is to the east right now of Gomez too. So it's heading east of Hobe Sound and the downtown area and is now heading offshore at this time. But still, we have the threat for strong wind gusts. So if you've been staying with us throughout this tornado warning, we always remind you to take every warning seriously. Stay inside and remain away from doors and windows until the tornado threat passes and until this tornado warning is expired. And I can get a look right now, and the Palm Beach International is indicating circulation may now be exiting off the Hobe Sound Beach area. So that was exactly what I was saying. We got an update there from the National Weather Service office in Melbourne. The rotation is now heading offshore currently, north of the Jupiter Island area, just offshore of South Beach Road and heading off the coast currently. So Hobe Sound, you're now in the clear from the direct threat of that rotation and any potential isolated tornado. But you still have the threat for very heavy rainfall as the system moves off the coast. Jupiter Island, the strongest wind gusts are now moving offshore. This does include Tequesta. Your strongest wind gusts are now moving offshore, including Gomez and Port Salerno too. So our tornado threat is now moving off our coastline. We still have this tornado warning extended until 11 o'clock this morning, and we're going to keep a close eye to see if this does expire over the next couple of minutes. But extreme rainfall rates have been occurring across parts of the Treasure Coast. We had a flood advisory issued for parts of St. Lucie, Okeechobee, and Martin County through this morning, as radar estimates of about 2 to 4 inches have fallen just within the past 3 to 5 hours. And we will continue to monitor this threat for isolated spin-up within this band of showers and storms heading towards the coast. We have very heavy rainfall now moving through a portion of central Palm Beach County heading towards the coast. So let's get a time on this to see what next areas are likely going to experience very heavy rainfall and possibly strong wind gusts. So the Wellington area in about 30 minutes from now, in about 15 minutes, from now to 11:04, heavy rainfall and some strong wind gusts will impact your area. 12:01 for Boynton Beach and 12:42 for the Boca area. If this band of showers and thunderstorms continues to maintain its structure, and if it continues to produce that heavy rainfall over the next few hours. So we're continuing to monitor this tornado warning that was issued about 15 minutes ago by the National Weather Service office in Melbourne, Florida. It was issued for coastal Martin County, including Hobe Sound, Jupiter Island, and the center of and the rotation associated with this isolated supercell has been moving offshore now of the Hobe Sound area. So the direct threat from any sort of tornado threat has now moved offshore. So if you've been staying with us and I've been telling you to stay inside away from doors and windows, you can now come out of your safe area because the tornado threat has now moved offshore. So if you live in Port Salerno, Hobe Sound, as well as parts of Jupiter Island, the threat has now moved away from your area. So it's now clear to come out from your safe area if you have been staying there and continuing coverage with us. But we will continue to stay on air as long as tornado warning has been issued. I've received no update from the Weather Service office in the Melbourne area, so we will continue to remain on air for with coverage on this. But this again includes coastal Martin County as well as the Hobe Sound area, Jupiter Island, until 11 o'clock this morning. We've been watching this rotation move in from inland Martin County, heading over the Florida Turnpike, and then towards Hope Sound, where the rotation tightened up a bit, which is why the tornado warning was issued. So the National Weather Service office, I just received an update from them. They've canceled the tornado warning for coastal Martin County, so the threat is now over, as I just mentioned. So we, again, will continue to see this threat for very heavy rainfall along our coastline, along our metro area of Palm Beach County and Martin County within the next couple of hours. We'll send you back to regular programming now, and we'll continue to break into coverage if we do see any other signs of rotation or any other tornado warnings have been issued. Excuse me while I get my ducks in a circle here. We have been monitoring multiple areas of rotation, not only for the Wellington area, but also inland too. So let's get a look at the road, at our scan right now within this tornado warning, and again, it continues until noon today. So this includes Golden Lakes, Royal Palm Beach, Wellington, the acreage, as well as Loxahatchee. A very weak signal of rotation within the system. It's very broad in nature, but the signal is there, which is why the National Weather Service in Miami has put out a tornado warning on this until noon. So we'll continue to remain on air until this warning expires within the next 30 minutes. And we'll continue to keep a close eye on the system. All right, let's get a bigger picture on exactly the line of showers and thunderstorms we've been tracking here. Very heavy rainfall accumulation in parts of central Palm Beach County within this line of storms moving its way towards the coast. And again, the motion of storm activity today has been from the southwest to the northeast. So motion will continue to work its way towards the coastline here within the next couple of minutes or here within the next hour or so. So this isolated tornado warning, though, that was issued for the Wellington area, Royal Palm Beach as well as Loxahatchee and the acreage. This is heading towards the Florida Turnpike. If it continues its motion, it will continue to head towards the coastline, parts of North Palm Beach, as well as Palm Beach Gardens and parts of West Palm Beach. As of right now, the broad area of rotation we're tracking is in central Palm Beach County near Lion Country Safari. This is right along 441 as Okeechobee Road and Southern Boulevard moves inland. That's where we're tracking this area of rotation. It's a very broad area of rotation, but there has been history of tighter rotation within some of these isolated supercells within this broad area of showers and storms as all of these work its way towards the coast. So because of that, this is why the National Weather Service office in Miami has issued this tornado warning on this individual storm. Let's read out the tornado warning bulletin for you. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Lion Country Safari Park or near the Wellington area. It is moving to the east at 10 miles per hour. So let's put a track here on you on this individual storm for its location to see where it's expected to likely head. So that broad area rotation just to the west there of Wellington and Loxahatchee, 1150, that's expected as this system moves to the east at about 10 miles per hour. And within the next 15 minutes or so, so it's a fairly slow moving storm. That's what I noticed here. The timing on this is a little iffy because the actual individual cell itself is kind of stationary if we put a little loop on this. So it hasn't been moving too quickly, but if that rotation continues to maintain its look, it could move its way towards the east over the next 30 minutes. So the Wellington area, likely within the next 10 to 15 minutes, and if it does continue to hold that rotation in place, Royal Palm Beach, the Golden Lakes area, likely within the next 30 minutes. But if you live near Lion Country Safari or in parts of Loxahatchee in the acreage, this is not the time to go outside to see any circulation or any tornado, because anything that is there will likely be rain wrapped and you won't see anything. So this is the time to stay inside, away from doors and windows if you are under a tornado warning. If there isn't anything there, it's still safe to take every warning seriously, because if there's strong wind gusts that can still aloft debris and that can damage windows or even front doors too. So that's why it's important to stay inside if a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning is issued. That's why the National Weather Service office in Miami issued a warning on this, because it showed signs of rotation, and we've had history within this broad line of storms of producing stronger rotation. So very broad rotation here within our velocity scan. Velocity is when radar sends its beam out. It can actually detect what direction and how strong wind is in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So in this case, the green indicates winds that are heading towards a radar site, and the red indicates winds heading away from a radar site. We want to see tightening rotation, or the colors getting closer and closer together to indicate areas of rotation. So it's very broad in nature what I'm seeing right now, but if the colors get brighter and the colors get closer together, that could mean that rotation is tightening, or there could be a funnel cloud or even a possible tornado working its way towards the ground. So if you're just joining us on the air right now, we have a tornado warning issued for a portion of Palm Beach County until noon today. This does include Royal Palm Beach, the Wellington area. If you live around Lion Country Safari, Loxahatchee, as well as the Acreage and Golden Lakes until noon. 12 p.m. exactly. So we will continue to remain on air over the next 25 minutes as long as this tornado warning remains in effect. So we've seen very broad rotation within this isolated strong cell. Let's get another radar scan. So our Palm Beach International Radar site is actually very close to where this rotation is. So it can be a little messy as the rotation gets closer to the radar site, but you can see very strong wind gusts likely occurring near the Acreage as well as Loxahatchee. We've seen some wind gusts as high as about maybe 40 miles per hour. So regardless if there is any rotation, funnel cloud, or tornado on the ground, it's still very gusty outside. So this is not the time to be outside. Not only that, we have very heavy rainfall rates too. Let's get a bigger picture here. We have a flood advisory that was issued for a portion of Fort Pierce, Martin County, as well as Okeechobee County, just because of the significant rainfall amounts we've seen throughout this morning, as well as a flood advisory that was issued for inland Palm Beach County. This does include the Belle Glade area until 1:45 p.m. So we get another update here from the National Weather Service office in Miami, Florida, and it appears we have that tornado warning continues at this time. So again, we still have this tornado warning in effect until noon for the Royal Palm Beach, Wellington, Loxahatchee, and the Acreage until this time. Let's get some individual roads here for you too to let you know where exactly we're talking about. Right along Southern Boulevard as you're heading towards Lion Country Safari, this is where the area of broad rotation has been seen on radar, and that's why this tornado, this thunderstorm has been tornado warned. So the latest from the National Weather Service office in Miami, still watching the rotation directly over Wellington and Lion Country Safari within this stronger thunderstorm. And we can see that right here, very broad area of rotation. But regardless, we can still expect strong wind gusts to be possible within this storm, as it includes 441 Southern Boulevard, Okeechobee Road as it heads inland, Okeechobee Boulevard as it heads inland, Seminole Pratt Whitney Drive, the Acreage, Loxahatchee, as well as portions of Wellington and Royal Palm Beach. Downtown West Palm Beach, Palm Beach Gardens, and North Palm Beach is not included within this tornado warning. Green Acres, you're not included within this tornado warning. This only includes the central Palm Beach County area of Wellington, Loxahatchee, Royal Palm Beach, and the Acreage area until noon today. We will continue to remain on air with this for the next 20 minutes as this storm remains in effect. So we continue to see other sort of storms that are forming inland too. Some have been showing some areas of broad rotation, but if this trend continues, most of these storms are heading from the southwest to the northeast. So that movement may continue to make its way towards the Florida Turnpike area over the next 30 minutes. So this tornado warning, if you are included in it, take every warning seriously as it's issued. Stay inside, away from doors and windows. It's not the time to go outside to see any sort of rotation, because if I bring up right now our radar scan, very heavy rainfall is ongoing within this tornado warning. So even if there is anything forming maybe a funnel cloud or something, you won't be able to see it because it's rain wrapped. Very heavy rainfall rates right over portions of Loxahatchee, the acreage, as well as right over Lion Country Safari. That's where we saw that rotation earlier, which triggered this tornado warning. This is all heading towards the Florida Turnpike. If we put a loop on this, heavy rain, very slow moving heavy rainfall is producing torrential downpours on many of our roadways. We've had this threat throughout the morning, which is what we've been tracking here on CBS 12 News throughout the morning with this heavy rainfall threat, but also the potential for an isolated stronger storm, which is why the National Weather Service office in Miami highlighted central Palm Beach County right now because they saw that broad area of rotation on radar. This is radar indicated. Nothing has been observed because it's very rain. There's a lot of rain outside, so nothing can be observed even within this isolated tornado warning. So very important to take every warning seriously. Even if there's nothing on the ground, we could still experience very strong wind gusts within this that can loft debris in some cases. So inland, the Wellington area, parts of the acreage continue to remain inside. This storm is fairly stationary. It's not moving very fast. It's moving to the east right now at about 10 miles per hour. So a slow moving thunderstorm that continues to work its way to the east ever so slowly. And it remains over the Loxahatchee acreage as well as Wellington area at this time. It's been a very broad area of rotation. I have seen very tight bright colors associated with this velocity scan. Our radars are very powerful and they can go into the very center of any sort of storm and see exactly what the wind is doing at that exact time, which is why the National Weather Service Office in Miami highlighted this individual storm. The green colors, that indicates wind that's heading towards the radar site there in the Loxahatchee area. That's where our Palm Beach International Radar Site is. The red indicates it going away. So that area of rotation, if I were to put a circle on it, or if I put a direction on it, it's likely, rotation is likely heading somewhat this way. It's a circle. Rotation is likely heading somewhere in the direction of the radar site there in the Loxahatchee area. It appears this isn't working for me, but it is heading towards the Loxahatchee area as well as parts of the acreage too. So that area is what we're monitoring for potential rotation. Let's get a bigger picture right now of the entire system we've been tracking here across South Florida. We have deep tropical moisture surging its way in from the Gulf of Mexico. And my computer here is very slow for me right now, but very heavy rainfall has been impacting much of South Florida. We've seen many reports of flooding that had occurred in parts of South Florida, the Miami area, as well as portions of West Florida. So my computer here crashed on me, but I'm going to try to get you back up here. If we pull back the screen on me, I want to remind you a tornado warning still ongoing at this time for central Palm Beach County. This does include Wellington, the acreage, Loxahatchee, as well as portions of Palm Beach, Royal Palm Beach. As I get my computer here working for you, this does extend until noon. So we will remain on air with you until this warning expires because it's in a populated area. We'll continue the tornado warning for the Palm Beach County area until noon for northeastern Palm Beach County. At about 11:41, severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Loxahatchee Groves near Wellington, moving east at 10 miles per hour. So here we go. I got my computer up working again for us as we get our radar loop. It might be a little slow for us getting into it, but here's the exact location of that tornado warning. Very broad rotation, but you can somewhat see that area highlighted in the greens and highlighted in the deeper, brighter colors of red. So this is our Miami radar, which can indicate that area, broad rotation right there in parts of central Palm Beach County. I'll try to put a circle on here to highlight any sort of area of rotation. If there would be anything, this is that broad area of rotation there in parts of inland Palm Beach County, including the Wellington, Loxahatchee, and Royal Palm Beach. So this is a fairly stationary storm. It hasn't moved much over the past couple of minutes. If any movement is ongoing, it's moved to the east at about 10 miles per hour, right along Southern Boulevard. Again, a very broad area of rotation, but The National Weather Service Office is keeping a close eye on it because many other storms today have had the history of producing tighter rotation and even the potential for funnel clouds, and that was a bit further south towards the inland Broward County area and Alligator Alley. We even had a tornado warning that was issued for coastal Martin County, very close to the Hobe Sound area. That was a very tight area of rotation that eventually moved offshore. Here's a live look right now at Southern Boulevard. Very wet roads currently, a few cars on the roadways at this time. Traffic is moving very slowly because of the heavy rainfall. Even outside of this tornado-warned storm, we could still experience extremely heavy rainfall within this band of showers and thunderstorms, as well as the potential for strong wind gusts within isolated cells. So this tornado warning parked right over our radar site here in the Wellington and Loxahatchee area. It saw the initial signs of rotation as it went over the Lion Country Safari area within the past 15 minutes or so, and it is moving very slow to the east at about 10 miles per hour, not very fast. In fact, as I'm looking at radar, it's moving almost stationary at this time. So we got an update from the National Weather Service Miami office. And this doesn't have anything to do with us. It has to do with the very heavy rainfall along I-75 along the west coast, along Alligator Alley and parts of South Florida. So look at the deep tropical moisture. We have a stationary boundary that was located just over Central Florida. If we highlight where that stationary boundary is, it's right around there. We had a southwest wind flow drawing in deep tropical moisture across South Florida. That's the direction of all the storm activity moving. Now, the National Hurricane Center did highlight this area for potential development once it moves away from our region later on this week. But this is a tropical kind of system that produces very heavy rainfall for us and the potential for isolated stronger storms too, which is what we're experiencing for today. A lot of tropical systems during the month of June tend to be on the weaker side, but they produce very heavy rainfall. And that's what we're likely seeing for today within these showers and storms that are moving its way through the Treasure Coast and Palm Beach County right now. Now, this isn't a named tropical system. I'm not saying that it's going to form over our area. National Hurricane Center highlighted that for a low chance of development as it moves into the Atlantic. But regardless, with any sort of thunderstorm activity in Florida, you have the potential for that area of rotation within storm activity. So we get no update from the National Weather Service on this broad area of rotation in central Palm Beach County, but we will continue to remain on air here with you until this warning expires, as it does include a populated area of central Palm Beach County. Let's get another view here of radar. So some of the strongest wind gusts have been right around the acreage, parts of Loxahatchee, right along Seminole Pratt Whitney Road, right along Okeechobee Boulevard and Southern Boulevard, as well as Forest Hill Boulevard and Wellington Trace. The downtown Wellington area is included in this, as well as areas west of 441. If you live east of 441, you're not included in this tornado warning. If you live south of Southern Boulevard, you are not included in this tornado warning except for the Wellington area. This doesn't continue until noon today, so we still have 15 minutes left on this tornado warning. And we will continue to remain on air with you here with this. I'm going to get a close view right now of the National Weather Service office in Melbourne, Florida, to get an idea of what's going on in the Treasure Coast. So we still have a flood advisory issued for the southern Treasure Coast until 1:45 p.m., where about 3 to 6 inches of rainfall has fallen, and an additional 1 to 3 inches is possible as we monitor rain moving in from the west over Lake Okeechobee. And then we have a flood advisory issued for inland Palm Beach County too. This includes the Belle Glade area and many rural areas just to the along the southwestern portion of Palm Beach County because of the heavy rainfall threat. But we're starting to see the very heavy rainfall now working its way into the West Palm Beach metro area, including parts of Jupiter, Palm Beach Gardens, and the West Palm Beach area. But that tornado warning that we've been monitoring, it includes central Palm Beach County, including Wellington, Acreage, and Loxahatchee. So very broad area of rotation associated with this. Nothing has tightened up in the sense of maybe a funnel cloud being produced or a nice brief tornado. Still, though, very strong wind gusts are likely ongoing within this, with wind speeds upwards, maybe gust up to about 40 miles per hour, too. So the latest here, if we get a radar scan right now of the Palm Beach International radar, very strong wind gusts right over parts of the acreage and Waxahachie as well as Wellington. So let's bring up right now the Miami office radar site. And if any sort of rotation were to continue ongoing, it would be right over Southern Boulevard, Seminole Pratt Whitney Road, and parts of Waxahachie. And I've been mentioning this for the past 15 minutes. This storm is very stationary. It's not moving very fast. They did put a movement at 10 miles per hour to the east, but I haven't noticed very much movement departing the Wellington area. And even outside of this potential rotation, it's very, very rainy currently across central Palm Beach County. We've been dealing with excessive rainfall amounts currently that have been producing some minor flooding in some of our local areas. So if you are under this tornado warning, continue to remain inside, away from doors and windows until this warning expires. We have about 11 minutes left in this tornado warning that was issued by the National Weather Service office in Miami, Florida. So this includes the central Palm Beach County area. This is all to the west right now of 441. And that tornado warning, again, was located right over the Lion Country Safari area and is now continuing to ever so slightly work its way to the east. Outside of thunderstorm activity, we've been dealing with heavy rainfall across Palm Beach County and the Treasure Coast throughout most of this morning, and we'll continue to monitor the heavy rainfall threat as well as the isolated severe threat within any sort of storms here in our local area. And again, this area of rotation is very broad, but it's still there, and we're continuing to watch this. Let's get a closer view now of potential rainfall rates we've been seeing with this storm itself. And if I bring in the Wellington area where that tornado warning is ongoing, if I bring up our rainfall rates here, we have rainfall rates of about 2.5 inches per hour. So very heavy rainfall currently ongoing along Southern Boulevard, Okeechobee Boulevard, and Seminole Pratt Whitney Road. This could be producing some localized flooding in some low-lying areas as well. So not the time to get in the car, go to lunch currently, stay home if you can, and stay here until most of these storms start to move towards the east and away from your area. Still have this tornado warning that was issued by the National Weather Service office in Miami, Florida, until noon today for this very broad area of rotation. We haven't seen any tightening rotation here, nothing like we were seeing earlier in the Martin County area where that tight area of rotation started to move offshore. This is a broad area of rotation that is very stationary, not moving very much. If any movement, it's to the east at about 10 miles per hour. So this area, still monitoring it right over the Palm Beach International radar sites. That's why it's a little difficult to see if there is any rotation, because the closer it gets to the radar site, you have an issue with the radar beam getting high into elevation. Radar beam goes it goes at an angle. So the closer this is to the radar site, you have this area around it that is almost in a blind spot for the radar. So if there is any rotation, it would likely be right over the radar site in Wellington and parts of Waxahachie, right along 441 there, and parts of Southern Boulevard, south of Okeechobee Boulevard, and over approaching the Royal Palm Beach area. So although the rotation is broad, every warning should be taken seriously. I would say stay inside of your home, away from doors and windows until the warning expires. And we actually have an update now from the National Weather Service office in Miami that the circulation has started to weaken out a bit and spread out. So they're going to expire the tornado warning at this time. So the threat is still there, though, for very heavy rainfall and the potential for some stronger wind gust. And not only within this system, we're also monitoring the potential for isolated rotation and an isolated spin up. And we have had history of some of these individual cells producing isolated, very strong areas of rotation. So bigger picture of this exact storm system, all of this is heading from the southwest to the northeast, a training area of showers and thunderstorms. And the National Weather Service office is going to let this expire at noon. So we have about 7 minutes left of this tornado warning, but it's weakened beyond its severe limits and appears no longer capable of producing a tornado. So it will be allowed to expire. However, we have about 7 minutes until the actual warning itself on the screen disappears. So if you were staying with us throughout this tornado warning, which was issued right about 11:30 today, if you live in Wellington, Loxahatchee, and the acreage, as well as portions of Royal Palm Beach, you are okay to come out of your safe place if you are staying there. We typically tell you to stay inside in an interior room away from doors and windows, typically a closet or interior bathroom. If you did end up going there and you hear me now, you're okay to come out from that safe place. However, we still have the very strong wind, some slightly stronger wind gusts and torrential rainfall outside. So it's not the time to go out and venture out to see if maybe there is any sort of damage reports. But still, we're going to continue to keep you updated with any sort of with any other additional warnings that might be issued from the National Weather Service as we continue to monitor this training area of showers and thunderstorms that have been producing very heavy rainfall and some isolated strong to severe storms here across South Florida. So we are still on air with you right now with this tornado warning, and in about 5 minutes from now, CBS 12 News at noon will have full coverage of storm activity for today. So I'm unsure if I'm allowed to send you back to regular programming or if we're going to keep you here until our noon newscast. But the tornado warning in Central Palm Beach County has been allowed to expire, and it expires at noon. So it'll be about 5 minutes until the warning on my screen disappears, but the storm is no longer capable of producing a tornado, so the threat is no longer there. We still have the threat for heavy rainfall and localized flooding within storms today across the southern Treasure Coast and Palm Beach County as this training line of storms moves across the area. So we will stay here until we start a new newscast with you in about 5 minutes. But we're still tracking very heavy rainfall accumulation. If I bring up the rainfall totals within the past 3 hours here across our area, very significant rainfall amounts for parts of the Okeechobee region and portion of the Treasure Coast too, where that flood advisory still remains in effect for parts of St. Lucie, Okeechobee, and Martin County until 1:45 p.m. So if we bring up some of our radar estimated totals here in our local area, you can see about maybe 2, 3 to even 5 inches of rain for some inland spots, but also upwards of about 6 inches of rain for isolated areas. So that can produce flooding, not only for low-lying areas, but also for many streets and roads. So it has been a very tough one to drive around town for this morning, and we're going to continue to see this storm activity throughout the next couple of days as deep moisture remains in place. So bigger picture on our storm activity for today, and it has been focused primarily in parts of the southern South Florida region. And as we continue to see deep tropical moisture move through the state over the next few days, we will continue to see this potential for localized flooding. Now, by the weekend, we start to see a shift in our wind flow. It turns from the southwest to more of an onshore wind, and we'll start to see slightly drier air filter in as the system moves its way into the Atlantic. Once that happens, our rain chances will start to decrease. So we're going to send you right now back to programming and we'll have the latest here on our storms and your local news coming up in just a few minutes.